It's the Shatkin First Down Pregame Show, presented by Dr. Todd Shatkin and the Aesthetic Associate Center, with your hosts, Rich Gaenzler and Dr. Jared Shatkin. And our special guest. Now, from the Shatkin Sports Network studios in Amherst, here are your hosts, Rich Gaenzler and Jared Shatkin.
Welcome to another edition of the Shatkin First Down Buffalo Pregame Show. Rich Gaenzler, Dr. Jared Shatkin. A lot going on the show. We're going to have a special Bills guest coming up in the second segment. Third segment, a generational mafia around the round table. Fourth segment, we'll break down the Bills and the Chiefs. But first, we got to go around the water cooler. All right, so we're going to talk about the bye week, basically. And oddly, aside from Knox and Spector getting engaged, I mean, that was it. I mean, it was a very, very, very oddly quiet week for the Bills. Nothing, aside from Von Miller, which is now over a week old. Yeah. Aside from that, pretty quiet over one Bills drive. So we're going to talk more about what happens that could affect, or happened that could affect the Bills going towards the playoffs. So let's talk a little bit about it. New York Times playoff predictor has the Bills at 15% making it. The teams that are slated to make it, 95% or better, are the division leaders: Chiefs, Jaguars, Ravens, Dolphins. 80% Texans, 65% Colts, and the Browns at 59%, then everybody else, right? That would be the 7 if we ended today, right? You got the Steelers at 52, you got the Broncos at 21, and the Bengals at 7. Obviously, a lot happened over this past weekend, including massive quarterback changes on a lot of the teams on the list of teams we just mentioned.
Yeah, so that's why I think that the Bills' chances are probably greater than 15%, because I think some of these teams are going to slip some games that you wouldn't ever see them losing. I mean, the Browns already lost to the Rams because Joe Flacco played a pretty bad game. And then now we have Kenny Pickett going out with an injury, and they already had lost to the Cardinals before that. So it just seems like this wild card spot is wide open to me. I don't think 15% is the right number, but we do play a really tough schedule, so that's probably something they're taking into account. A lot of these games went our way this weekend, though.
Yeah, and think about, too, I mean, the South is incredibly strong this year for a change, right? Now with Trevor Lawrence going there, we don't know how long Trevor Lawrence is going to be out for with a sprained ankle. So you got Beathard coming in there. You got the Colts and Texans playing pretty well at this point. The Colts getting that late game touchdown from Pittman to beat Tennessee, right, and the Texans playing really well at this point. Jacksonville could even fall back into that wild card mix depending on how things play out with their quarterback problem.
Yeah, I mean, you still got to play these games, and there's a reason that you still got to play these games. We play one of the best two teams in the league the next 2 weeks, but we're playing a Kansas City team that just lost to a Packers team, and we're playing a Cowboys team at home, which we probably could beat because we're home. So we still have this chance. The window is still open. We just have to go in there and kind of take that opportunity and seize it. This is going to be a really tight race right till the end.
But what you said, who's got the best quarterback of all those teams?
Yeah, the Bills do.
We do.
That's why I think we have a better chance than 15%, because we have the best quarterback.
100%. So sort of the numbers in terms of if the season ended today. We know what our schedule is like. And those percentages that we bring up are based on the teams that all of these teams have yet to play. And again, we have the toughest schedule. But look, Kansas City's not the team they've been. We know that. We've also had success in Kansas City. How will Dallas play on the road in potentially bad weather here in Buffalo? That's a big question mark. And Prescott's been incredible. Their offense has been just over the moon. They've been so good. And obviously they have playmakers on the defensive side. But those guys were exposed on Thanksgiving Day.
I think we've been playing pretty well the last 2 weeks, too, offensively specifically, and most of the game defensively. So if we can wrap up some of the coaching and kind of stay on this rhythm that we're on, I think we have a chance.
And we've played well against good teams.
Yes.
I mean, that's been documented throughout the season. So I give ourselves a really good chance. But we're going to get to our prediction a little bit later in the show. For now, we're going to take a break. We'll come back with a special Bills guest right after this on the Shatkin First Down Buffalo Pregame Show.
Hi, I'm Dr. Todd Shatkin here with Hall of Fame running back Thurman Thomas.
My family and I have been coming to Dr. Shatkin's dental office for years. The office is beautiful and the staff is outstanding.
Thanks, Thurman. It's been an honor for me to take care of you and your family.
For a Hall of Fame smile, go where the pros go. Dr. Todd Shatkin at the Aesthetic Associate Center.
Call today for a free consultation, 839-1700.
It's apple picking time. When was the last time you bit into an apple? With affordable Shatkin mini dental implants, you can. Stabilize your dentures and replace missing teeth in as little as one visit. You can be you again, only better. Call the Aesthetic Associate Center today at 716-839-1700 for your free consultation.
All right, we're joined by a good friend, Chris Trapasso, CBS sports analyst, to talk about the NFL, talk about the Bills. I know you're big on your mock draft, so we're going to get into that as well. How you doing, man?
Doing pretty good, Rich. It's been a while, and I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. We were happy to have you on. Let's talk a little bit about the NFL first in the league and sort of what you're making of it, because especially in the AFC, even to the top of the division, still record-wise, top to mid-pack is still relatively close at this point, right?
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of these teams that are in that 7-5, 6-6 range still have to play each other. So there's going to be a lot of these teams beating each other up. And on that topic, a lot of quarterbacks are beaten up. And it seems like if your quarterback is upright, your starter, like the Bills have with Josh Allen, the Chiefs have with Patrick Mahomes, that is a huge luxury to have, with the likes of Kenny Pickett recently getting hurt and Trevor Lawrence to add in with Deshaun Watson and Joe Burrow in the AFC. So we expected this to be a really parity-filled AFC season, and it has been. But even down the stretch, these final 5 games, I think, are going to go down to the wire to determine which teams get in the playoffs and which seeds all of those 7 teams ultimately have.
One of the things that you in recent history have gotten known for, and I know, the casual draft nicks will, they'll mention McShay and Kuiper and those guys, and we all know that the percentages usually are terrible.
Yeah.
Your percentages when it comes to your draft mocks have been absolutely off the hook. I mean, you have been unbelievable, arguably the best of anybody that does it. So number one, congratulations to you. Number two,
Thanks.
Congratulations on the incredible foresight. And I know you put tons of work into what you do in terms of evaluation and all the players available. So let's get to the mock drafts. It's not too early to talk about it because you've already started working on some of yours and looking at other people's along the way. So going into next year, regardless of the way the season ends top 3 position needs for the Bills, do you think in 2024?
I think safety, defensive tackle, and wide receiver. And you could have them really in any order. I don't think that either of those 3 are far and away more important than the other. But what I would say is in today's NFL, even with Josh Allen as your quarterback, when in doubt, lean offense. And the Bills had a couple years where they didn't do that. And they were picking, back-to-back defensive ends and Gregory Rousseau and Boogie Basham. The year before that, AJ Epinesa in the 2nd round. I think it's time for the Bills to prioritize the wide receiver spot. That doesn't necessarily mean they have to pick one in round 1, but in one of the first 2 rounds, that's really where you're going to get your marquee talent. Stephon Diggs just turned 30 years old. I think he can still be an elite level wide receiver. And even if he regresses a little bit into his 30s, you're still talking about a top 10 receiver in the NFL. But planning for the future with Josh Allen, I think wide receiver to me would be the biggest, but also safety, given the ages of Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, their contracts. And then defensive tackle, the fact that Ed Oliver is the only player at that position who is signed beyond this year. And we know how important Sean McDermott, places that emphasis on rotating those defensive linemen on his defense.
Yeah, so talk to us a little bit quickly about wide receiver that, in terms of young talent the Bills have now. So you don't anticipate Shakir being or having the ability to be that kind of guy, or even Justin Shorter, who, I'm watching Green Bay with Christian Watson, and Shorter for me is sort of the same guy, but maybe with not the same experiences in college. Yes, he went into college right as the number 1 ranked high school senior at his position, but never really developed between Penn State and Florida. Here he is now, 1 year into an NFL team. Do you think he could maybe develop into one of those guys?
Yeah, that's a good question. What I'll say about Justin Shorter is just the opinion that I had when the Bills drafted him in the 5th round. I thought he was a pick to be insurance for Gabe Davis, because if you watch both of those players in college and really where Gabe Davis has become the most successful in this Bills offense is down the football field. I think we've seen through now 4 seasons that Gabe Davis is not a complete number 2 wide receiver who's getting open all the time, who's creating after the catch, who's very, very reliable with his hands. But down the field, he's very good. And that's where Justin Shorter ultimately thrived at Florida after transferring from Penn State, where he was that top recruit, like you mentioned. So I think going into next season, you would have Khalil Shakir, who to me, I don't know if he'll ever be that classic number 2. I think he can be a very good slot receiver, number 3 target in the progression. And I think Justin Shorter can be that Gabe Davis type who you really want to just use on post routes, on go routes. They still have that need for a number 2 who can eventually become a number 1 after the Stephon Diggs era is over. So I don't hate moving forward what the Bills have secondarily in their wide receiver room, but I do think they still need to prioritize that position relatively early in the draft.
Well, great stuff, man. CBS Sports analyst Chris Trapasso at Chris Trapasso on the X. Happy holidays, man. I really appreciate you doing this.
Thanks a lot, Rich. You too.
Hi, I'm Dr. Todd Shatkin, the clinical director here at the new Shatkin Dental Health Postgraduate Dental Residency Program. For years, I've felt there's been a need to help those patients who just can't afford quality care but want to be treated in a private dental office setting. Shatkin Dental Health will save you 20 to 30% on the procedures you need without compromising the care you deserve.
Call Shatkin Dental Health today at 43 Smile and receive a dental cleaning and x-rays for only $43. And as always, consultations are free.
It means a lot to be able to work with my dad to continue this legacy that we have going on.
I had many implants. Once I got them, it was like the old me came back.
The changes you can make in such a short period of time in somebody's life, have somebody in the chair crying because they finally have a full set of teeth. And I think the only way to do it in that type of time period for that type of price is really the mini implant.
Mini dental implants can change your life too. Call us at 839-1700 for a free consultation.
All right, checking first down Buffalo pregame show. Rich Gaenzler, Sam Castronova. Time to go in the pocket. All right, dude. I mean, look, you're manned to have to talk about a future Hall of Famer in terms of Patrick Mahomes. What have you seen in the past that we've employed to kind of, harness him?
Yeah, I mean, well, number one, he's always beating us with his legs, and when we keep him in the pocket, I know it sounds crazy, but when we keep him in the pocket, we actually do a better job against him than him scrambling around. But I think this year they may have gotten a little cocky with winning the Super Bowl the first year after they traded Tyreek Hill, because other than Rashee Rice, the rookie, they haven't had a receiver step up very much. And Kelsey's kind of starting to look his age this year. I don't know if people are noticing that, but he just doesn't look like he's got quite the step he did. I mean, I know he's probably playing hurt too, but that's one thing. It was always his security blanket, but they don't seem to be quite as electric as they used to be, and I think that's one thing we can take advantage of.
I would say this, and agree or disagree, but Pacheco has been fantastic for them, and because of that, if you can make them one-dimensional, and believe it or not, make Mahomes attempt more passes and make him more part of the offense. It's weird to say that, and why would you want to do that? But Pacheco's been so successful that it's had to make the defenses pull back a little bit. Now you make maybe them one-dimensional. That might help.
They haven't thrown the ball nearly as much as they used to.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because Pacheco's been as successful or they haven't been as successful throwing the ball, but his numbers are not what they used to be. So I don't know if it's Bieniemy leaving or, like I said, the receivers not being as good, but they definitely have had their struggles on offense this year.
All right, well, thank you. We're going to see you here in the round table with a bunch of your relatives in a second. Throw the ball. All right, welcome back to the Shatkin First Down Buffalo pregame show. Look at this crew. We have a generational mafia here. Sam, please introduce the rest of the round table here, if you would.
So obviously this is the little guy, if you saw on the show last year, that puked all over me. Now just turned 1 a few months ago. This is Tatum. This is my grandfather, Russell, barber down on Main Street. And then this is my other grandfather, Richard George, who was a pastor at the chapel for a while and also a children's book author.
Fantastic. And you guys have been on before, so welcome. Tatum's first, non-upset stomach occasion on the show. And he could be the future of this show. because I'm sure that we've probably made some of you sick watching this show in the past. So Tatum's going to run off set here, and we're going to get to talking some football. Welcome back, guys. I know you guys have been here before, so good to see you both. Happy holidays to both of you. I'm going to start with you, Rich. Let's talk a little bit about, there's your book. One of many you've written over the years. You're a decorated writer. Talk to folks a little bit about some of the books you've written and where they can find them.
Well, I've written some books on plays, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, James and the Giant Peach. But this is Randolph the Short-Legged Reindeer, which is a fabulous book written in rhyme for kids, about kids who have problems, and problems with their weight or their size or things that they can do and can't do. And it's a great response and answer to it. And you can actually find it at Rich on Relationships on my Facebook page. If you go to the profile, it's Rich Relationships, and you can order one if you're interested for Christmas.
Fantastic. Yeah, great gift for sure. Well, let's welcome, guys. Again, let's talk a little bit about football. And, coming into this, I was informed that you guys were very vocal about the Bills-Eagles game. And, Russ, why don't we start with you and tell us a little bit about what kind of things were coming out of your mouth in terms of watching the Bills and Eagles a couple weeks ago.
It's been a little discouraging because we had such high hopes for the team all the way through, and I personally think they were just thinking of the next game every time they played a game, and they didn't play up to par. They met the Jets, of course, the first game of the year, and were surprised. Then I think the injuries hurt them terribly.
Rich, what do you think?
Well, we all know that a rut is a grave with the ends kicked out. And this team has gotten into a rut. One of the ruts is the conservative play. And the last dying words of an organization are, we never did it that way before. And calling timeouts to ice kickers does not work. The only way you can play that is let the guy go out and kick it or miss it. He's already been iced, expecting it on the sideline. He's practicing. The statistics indicate that if you don't ice them, they're more apt to miss it. And yet, the coach still wants to ice the kicker and waste the timeout every game.
Sam, let's talk to you about the Bills' chances now going forward, obviously. 5 games left, toughest schedule arguably in the league, 15% chance of making the playoffs at this point, based on the New York Times playoff prognostication and what they use, and throw it in the computer, it pops out that number, whatever. Yeah. But what do you think? I mean, they've lost by a total 6 games by a total of 26 points. Do that math, it's 4 and change points per game. All the games are close.
I think most of the stuff that happened this week kind of happened in their favor, other than the Tennessee Titans not knowing how to punt the football. But I think we have a better than 15% chance, but we haven't put a game together all year in all 3 phases. And if we can get hot at the right time, nobody wants to see us. So that's the hope, is somehow we can sneak in. And I think if we do get in, I think it's anybody's game. But we put ourselves in a situation, so we got to just hope we can get hot.
And Jared, we've been in this sort of situation before with McDermott and Allen being in and around this type of record at this time of year, and they did get hot. Mm-hmm. So they are certainly capable, I would think.
Yeah, we're capable of doing anything with that quarterback, really. So if we're going to make a run, it's going to have to be on the back of Josh Allen in this offense, and the defense is going to have to be opportune. They don't need to dominate a game, but especially versus the Chiefs, they're going to have to be opportune. When there's a chance to make a turnover, they're going to have to make those plays when they're here. And the only thing that gives me a little bit of a hiccup with saying, yes, we can do it, we can go ahead, is it just seems like there's some sort of chemistry off with this locker room, and I've kind of been saying it all year. In the year past, you had like intrinsic trust in the front office and the coaching staff, in Sean McDermott and Brian Daboll, and there was just something there where you're like, we're going to get it going. Even in 2021, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks where I was down on the team and I'm like, we're not going to make it. But for the most part, the team seemed that they were focused, they were together, and it just seems like there's something that's missing a little bit. Luckily, what's happening for us is the rest of the AFC seems to be having the same situations. They're having trouble moving the ball. There's a lot of injuries. So we're going to be able to be playing the best football in the league by the end of the year, in my opinion.
Well, we're going to talk more about the Kansas City game, you and I, coming up in a second. Let's get into the 2-minute drill, some trivia on this game. First question. This one's kind of tough. 3 Heisman-winning running backs have played for either the Bills or the Chiefs. Can you name them?
All 3 of them?
Not for both teams, but either one of the two teams. 3 Heisman-winning running backs. You're all obviously able to guess this.
O.J. Simpson.
O.J. is one. That's right.
Priest Holmes didn't win the Heisman, did he?
He did not. But I'll give you a hint. A running back that was on the same team with O.J. Simpson won it.
Allen?
Marcus Allen's another one. And then this other running back was on USC with O.J. Simpson, but prior to O.J. winning the Heisman, he was the Kansas City running back in Super Bowl I. Number 21 was his number. Anyone?
Well, it wasn't Otis Taylor.
No.
What was the guy's name?
Not little.
It was Mike Garrett. Mike Garrett.
yes.
Mike Garrett. All right.
Sounds like, yeah, he was good friends with
Sounds like a guy from
Right.
Chihuahua. You're kidding? Remember it well.
What former Chiefs coach was a Bills linebacker as a player?
Marty Shatkin.
That's correct. 2 for 2, guys. Last one. This is fun. Jared Allen and Mike Vrabel both played for the Chiefs. They combined for 4 of these. What were they?
Receiving touchdowns.
That's correct. You went right after it. Well done, my man. I thought that was going to be a stumper for sure. Good job, dude. All right, guys, thanks for being here. Have a great Christmas. Enjoy the rest of the entire holidays. And Sam, you too. Well, we'll see you next week. All right? Coming back on the other side, Jared and I break down the Bills and the Chiefs right here on the Shatkin First Down Buffalo pregame show.
Hi, this is Steve Christie. When the Bills needed a clutch kicker, they called me. When I needed a dentist to care for my family, I called the best, Dr. Todd Shatkin from the Aesthetic Associates Center. Dr. Shatkin and his team have provided us with the care that we need. Are you embarrassed to smile because of loose dentures or missing teeth? You can be you again with Shatkin Mini Dental Implants. Call Dr. Todd Shatkin today at 716-839-1700 or go to drtshatkin.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Todd Shatkin, and happy holidays from all of us at the Aesthetic Associates Center.
My self-esteem wasn't where it should have been because I was really, really self-conscious about my teeth. When I walked into Shatkin Dental, I was instantly ready for the residency program. I knew that that is what I needed. I needed the discount, I needed the dentist that was gonna fix everything. My self-esteem is already getting much, much, much higher just from starting the procedures.
Call Shatkin Dental Health today at 43 Smile for quality dental care you can afford.
All right, final segment of the Shatkin First Down Buffalo pregame show. Time to talk about the Bills and the Chiefs. The 7th time in 8 meetings between these two teams at Arrowhead. In the McDermott-Allen era, the Bills have won 3 of 5 there. So, decent chances, right? And obviously there's the 13-second loss, which everybody still talks about today. So, Jared, let's talk a little bit about this game. Let's talk about Kansas City. They lose to the Lions by 1 in the opener. They beat a couple good teams in Jacksonville and Miami. They lose to the Eagles on the Valdez-Scantling play, which should have made a different outcome, obviously, in that game. They lose to the Packers. They lose to the Broncos. Here they are, but we clearly can see they are not the team that we're used to seeing.
No, there are some chinks in that armor for sure. They're having some issues offensively, which you'd never think you would say about a Chiefs team. And it seems to be doing a little bit with the downfall of Travis Kelce not being that elite player anymore, because that was their security blanket, and it doesn't seem like he's always their security blanket anymore. Something that they have got going is the run game, but as you can see, this is a passing league. So when the Chiefs are going to the run and they're struggling, that's how you know that the passing game kind of reigns supreme in the NFL.
An interesting stat for everybody at home, if you didn't know, and this amazed me, especially when Patrick Mahomes is their quarterback. Yeah. They are exactly 50-50 run pass, which blows my mind.
Yeah.
That team with that quarterback is 50-50.
Yeah, and it's because the receivers are really not living up to what they should be. Last year, they won the Super Bowl, so they didn't think they had to do anything at receiver, but it turns out they really did. But, Pacheco is a really good runner, and he's a hard runner. He's going to be tough for us to bring down. They have a lot of really good players on their offensive line. They still have a lot of speed on offense. This isn't a team that's going to just be stumped offensively, but it is a team that we can expose in some different situations.
You bring up a really good point, because I haven't seen Sky Moore. I mean, I feel like he's been virtually absent for the Chiefs in their offense, maybe for the last month or so. Really not much out of him. We know what he did in the Super Bowl. We know he is that guy. He is their speed guy. Tony's got tons of speed. Hardman's a really fast guy. So they have weaponry. It's just, I go back. I said this earlier in the year. Matt Nagy, for me, is the reason why Kansas City is where they are. He was a head coach in Chicago, not anymore. Why? I think we're seeing why as he's the OC in Kansas City, because they have just fallen off. They've scored 30 points or more only 3 times all year. This is a team that scored 30 points regularly in prior offenses with Bieniemy as their OC.
Right, but they also don't have a receiver that's like a route-running receiver specialist. Rashee Rice is good. He's got speed. He's physical, and he's probably their best weapon. But they don't have a guy like Stephon Diggs who on 3rd and 5, you know he's going to be somewhere open. That used to be Travis Kelce, and that doesn't seem to be happening quite as much anymore. So while I agree with Matt Nagy maybe being a little vanilla play calling wise, it kind of reminds me of the early season Bills before we just switched our offensive coordinator. It's just something that is just a little bit stale. It just seems like they're trying to do the same thing over and over again, and the results aren't really working, but they're still winning, so they keep going with it.
Yeah. I was going to say Mahomes, for me, has been very similar to what Josh was like in the middle of the year, but all year. He's 22-10 statistically, which again is crazy for Patrick Mahomes. He's had his highlight reel plays, but then he's had plays where you're like, what? I mean, you saw it this past weekend.
Yeah, and it's because his receivers are letting him down over and over again, so he's trying to do too much. But yeah, you saw this past weekend, you know, they have no business losing to a Packers team that has a young quarterback like that. You know, they're a polished Super Bowl winner, but it just seems like they can't really step up to the challenge versus many of these teams. I mean, Detroit's a good team, but they probably shouldn't have taken that game week 1. And, you know, Philly, they had many chances to win that game. So it's kind of a frustrating situation probably to be a Chiefs fan, just like it is to be a Bills fan right now. So that's why I think this matchup is going to be good. It's a matchup of who can kind of find their identity this week.
Tranquill has come in. He's been really good at linebacker, but he's iffy because he was concussed in the last game. Cochran, I thought, played really well in his stead. Cook injured at safety, too. That's really significant for them. So they're going to backups there. So, you know, pick or choose where you want. Turnover ratio -6. For Kansas City. That's another problem they've had. Obviously, they're not taking the ball away like we're used to seeing from them. And obviously, with Mahomes' 10 interceptions, not like him, that's why they are where they are. So let's get to the predictions. What do you think?
I mean, I'm not going to pick against the Bills right now. I'm a homer. I think that we have a good chance in this game. I think we're going to win. I think 24-21 was the score last year. I'm going to say it's probably going to be, let's say 25-20 just to change the score a little bit.
All right, 25-20. I'm going to go odd 2. I'll go 33-30, a little bit higher scoring game. I will also take the Bills. I got to thank Dr. Todd Shatkin, Aesthetic Associate, Shatkin Dental Health. You for watching, our fabulous crew, and of course our guests as well. Let's go Bills. Beat Kansas City.
That's right.
Let's keep moving towards the playoffs. It's one game at a time, but you got to start here against the Chiefs in Arrowhead, and let's start calling it Allenhead after this game, and we win, right?
That's right.
Thanks for joining us again. We'll see you next week right here on the Shatkin First Down Buffalo Pregame Show.
In the Pocket is sponsored by Mini Dumpster Rental. Call 716-429-6362. This has been a production of the Shatkin Sports Network.